Bitwig 5.3 adds new devices, especially drums, but also some new effects for the grid and also a step sequencer. Now, we had drums already, but many users thought that they were lame. So in this video we will answer the question if the new drums are worth it or if they are just a gimmick. But even more than that, I will give you tricks and ideas to experiment with all of these new features, so let's start. Now, we actually have 3 new families of drums. The V8 and V9 are emulations of the Roland 808 and 809. These 2 drum machines are classics, so having all of the parts of the drum kit separately is great to create more versatile kind of sounds. Now, on their own, they already have different parameters to change the sound, which already gives you a lot of versatility. But of course, the idea of Bitwig is to use also many different effects, rootings, and modulators to get even crazier results. Or maybe not crazy results, but more fine-tuning of the sound you want. Now, they also included the V0, an original digital type of drum kit. This new family of drums is my favorite now because the sounds that you can get are very experimental, very synthetic. I mean, for instance, the cymbal is based on FM with phasing and also frequency shifting. On the other hand, the snare lets you go deep into building the typical resonance that the snare has. Another one that's my favorite is the zap kick because you can use it for more than just a kick, but more of that later on the video. Because right now let's experiment a little bit with these new devices so I can give you some ideas on how to use them creatively. As I said, Bitwig is modular, so you can use different effects, different rootings and modulators to get different characters. And as I'm talking about processing with effects, let's check out a little bit of the new devices for the grid. For instance, in the effects category now we have the pitch shifter and the frequency shifter plus. These ones sound very different from the pitch shifting and frequency shifting devices. I don't know, I love the grainy kind of stuff that you can get with the pitch shifter. And the frequency shifter not only changes the frequency, but also has this kind of feedback that transforms it into a weird type of delay. So of course we can use them together in this modular environment, creating something more interesting. Okay, I made this video with Beta 1 and just now that I wanted to upload it, they released Beta 2. It's not so different, but now Frequency Shifter Plus can be used as a proper device. If you find some value in the ideas that I'm sharing today, give a like to the video. Also, if you want to download this project with all of the presets that I'm showcasing today, consider becoming a channel member and also a patron. All the links are going to be in the description. Now, another thing to do to get more interesting and unpredictable results is to take advantage of the amount of parameters that each of the new drums have. Did this using random modulators for each of these parameters and then set them to be triggered by note. That way each time we play one of these drums, the sound will be completely different. As you can hear, the result is very crazy, but also very interesting. Now, as you can see, all this time I've been using Stepwise, the other new device, which is a note effect. This is a sequencer mostly based on an XOX type of sequencer. so naturally the inclination is to use it for drums. It has up to 8 tracks and 16 steps. Now, say this is a note effect, and you can see at the left that you can select which notes are going to be triggered. Usually a drum machine preset will start from C1, and that's why the default is like that. But you can set any note you want and then trigger the notes of a synthesizer. Now, if you want to keep things in a scale, but you don't want to start thinking about the different notes, well, as this is a note effect, you just have to add a key filter after it. And as I'm speaking about that, you can actually apply modulators to the different note selections. Now, I don't want to repeat myself and use random again, so let's use wavetable LFOs. I'm also going to use other modulators to change the position of the wavetables. As you can see, the notes that now stepwise is going to trigger are not predictable, so the result with a synthesizer is still a very interesting melody with a steady rhythm. Not only that, what I like to do is to add an instrument layer so I can combine the synthesizer with a drum machine and fill out as many spaces as I want on that drum machine. Because as I'm changing the notes of stepwise, I don't know which percussive sound is going to be triggered. Maybe it won't even trigger a drum at all. I haven't talked about another great feature of stepwise. Each line can have different amount of steps. That means that now we have polymeter action, and with polymeters we can also create polyrhythms. For this, let's go back to a more simple kind of drum sequence, and let's start changing the amount of steps of, for instance, the snare. It becomes more saucy, more juicy. You can do the same with a hi-hat or a ride, and now we are playing jazz. And of course you can go as crazy as you want and change the amount of steps of all the 8 different tracks. And again, you can use this also for writing a melody. Now, the way I program polyrhythms with polymeters is by just triggering the first step of each of the lines and then changing the amount of steps. That way we can have polyrhythms with up to 8 different time signatures. I don't know, I just love this kind of rhythmic experimentation. And if you like the results that you're getting, remember that this is a note effect, which means that you can record the MIDI. So as you see, I like a lot stepwise, but to be completely honest, I think it can be better. I have my own kind of wish list of features that I would love to see on stepwise. For instance, when you press this icon, you get more parameters at the right. These are for moving around the sequence, to flip the active and inactive steps, and to randomize the sequence. Thing is, right now this cannot be modulated, and I would love to be able to modulate the randomization and moving around the steps and whatnot. I mean, imagine playing a bar with the sequence and then the next bar is going to be the inverted sequence. Now, this is still beta 1, so I don't know if they plan to add this feature in the future. The other thing that I don't know if they are going to add is velocity control. I mean, I get the idea is to get the sequencer of an XOX, and those didn't have velocity, but they did have accents. But I'm too used to program velocity on my drum beats. I mean, listen to the difference between these two hi-hats. I like the second one better, it's more groovy. But still, stepwise is very fun to use, let me know if I'm exaggerating. Now, I mentioned at the beginning that I wanted to show you more things about Subkick, because it's my favorite new device. I mean, it can actually be used for more different kind of sounds. If you press this cog, you will get parameters for the pitch, the frequency, and the phase. On their own, they don't do too much rather than changing the pitch, the frequency and the phase, but I think they are there to be modulated, and not by any type of modulator. The idea is to use audio rate modulation. I don't know if you know, but any LFO and even curves and segments can be set to pitch, meaning that they will oscillate at the pitch of the note that you're playing. So every LFO can be used as an audio rate modulator. So yeah, with this you can apply FM to subkick. And if you use curves, or if you use the wavetable LFO, you can get crazier and even ever-changing kind of sounds. Of course, you can go to the next level by modulating the parameters inside the modulators. And modulating the phase, the pitch, and the frequency will give you different results. The other great thing you can do with subkick, thanks to these parameters, is using it as a tonal instrument, especially a bass. I mean, take all of these parameters, even the audio rate modulation, but apply a key tracking to the pitch. Now you can play anything you want with subkick. Of course, as it's a very punchy kick, I tend to use it for 808 kind of basses, but you can go more experimental and use it for anything you want. In fact, let me know in the comments your ideas on how will you use these new devices. Also, let me know if you like the ideas that I showed today. Thank you so much for watching, I will see you next time, and bye bye!